102 Dalmatians, Puppies to the Rescue is a 3D platforming game from 2000 that I played a ton as a kid, but just like in my previous video about LEGO Racers, link in the description or the top right corner if you haven't seen it yet, I wonder, does it hold up or am I just being nostalgic? So I did what anyone else would have done and I replayed it, and here's how it went. Now I never actually watched 102 Dalmatians because, yeah. But this game thankfully follows its own storyline, not the one from the movie. As expected from a platforming game, you have a jump, but you also have not one but two attacks, a bark and a roll, and also an interact button that doubles as a sniff that shows you where to go, kinda like the line on the floor in Dead Space. As for pickupables, you have bones, which are the coins in this game. We also have food items that restore 1 health point out of 4. The game has 2 objectives, though you can just rush to the finish in many cases if you wish, but part of the fun is finding all the hidden spots and figuring out the puzzles. The point is to rescue as many puppies as we can. They're the ones in these wooden crates you see everywhere. And doing these puzzles or even just finding them is pretty fun actually, even as an adult. These puzzles, the combat and even the platforming have really nice balance to them, where they don't feel so easy that you start to question what are you even doing with your life, but they never get all that frustrating either. Also, finding secrets is super rewarding and there are so many in every level. The whole game is just filled with creativity. In the first level, the secret is that you have to herd a pigeon from the starting area all the way to the pigeon statue, where they play a song and dance and give you some bones. Combat, though it feels very weird calling it that in such a game, is just there. Personally, I think they could have just added more platforming and removed the whole fighting element, but it's not terrible or anything, it just is. Level design is top notch however. There's so much variety and so much creativity in every nook and cranny. So many hidden spots are just hinted at enough to make you look around. Not too impossible, but not too on the nose either. Gotta remember this is made for children after all. Onto these levels then. They are very nicely decorated but admittedly pretty boxy, which I don't mind at all. I love cozy, chunky, low poly 3D platformers. The game has 16 of them and 4 boss fights. Yes, boss fights, we'll talk about those in a bit. Starting with Regent's Park in London, a pretty perfect starting level to get you familiar with the controls and objectives. The level is walled off with these nice hedges, but there are also some London landmarks visible in the distance. It's pretty spacious and doesn't have much platforming, but as I said, it's a great place to get familiar with jumping, barking and rolling. Next up is the toy store, and here everything picks up. Variety, enemies, platforming, everything. You start off in this entrance area with the cash register and boxes, then you go to this Hogwarts looking part. From there you go to this jungle looking area, but it's very clever about being low poly, as they made the room look like it's supposed to be painted like Mayan ruins in the jungle, kind of what you'd see in children's hospitals and stuff. Then we go to this Toy Story looking lunar landscape themed room with a rocket, and here we can ride the train around even to a secret room. Also from here we ride the elevator to the basement, where we navigate around a bunch of crates to the finish. Like I said, amazing variety for just one level if you ask me. Moving on, it's Piccadilly, where we see some cool ads for Pop Inc., Puppy Love and Canine Co, among others. I love seeing these fake ads in games. I spent a whole segment on them in my pod, Planet of Death video. But it's not just big squares either. We have a double-decker and a car that drive around, phone booths, a museum-looking place, cool back alley and another square. Then we go to Big Ben, famously known for having more cogwheels than a steampunk convention. First we climb some stairs, and I must say they make excellent use of baked-in lighting and complementary colors. After jumping on some turning cogs and whatnot, we ride some pendulums, then some pistons, then all of them at once before reaching the finish. Overall, I would say it's a solid level, but the fact that you can fall down all the way to the beginning of the room makes it one of the more punishing levels when it comes to platforming. After that, we have our first boss fight. I know it's not something you'd normally expect from a game like this, but here it's simple and wholesome. So Cruella's in her helicopter shooting tomatoes at us, and we're on top of Big Ben launching pineapples back at her with medieval catapults. But logic aside, it's a pretty cool concept for such a game. You can also ring the bell, which stuns her. Also, you can see the curvature of the earth, we're so high up. Next is the Royal Museum, where you gotta collect various items from each of the exhibitions, ranging from ancient Egypt to medieval knights. Now here you can 100% get lost on your first playthrough, but otherwise it's fun. The next level is called Underground and is a mixture of metro stations and sewers, something every game had to have at a time. And after traversing a lot of metro and sewer, we move on to Carnival. Now this level you could actually just straight up run through if you wanted to, but of course I'm gonna show you all of it. Now, one interesting thing that this game does is some progression is locked behind destroying a certain amount of enemies in a given area, which in turn gives you a ticket for that ride or attraction. This is something I'm only used to seeing in arena shooters like Serious Sam, where you kill a certain amount of enemies and then a cutscene plays of like a gate opening somewhere else. But I guess it works here too. Now the noteworthy attractions I'd say are the duck shooting minigame and the roller coaster, both being very impressive for something that's just inside another game. The next level is Lumber Mill, A pretty forgettable level in the grand scheme of things, but it does have some cool puzzles. One where you have to be quick on a seesaw and one where you operate a whole crane to move a log around, which I thought was very cool. On to our second boss fight now. Cruella is in a boat this time and we have to chuck melons at her from a small island. Again, pretty basic, but it does the job and it's interesting enough. After that we go to a level called Countryside where not a lot happens if I'm being honest. We have some nice open areas with a really cool skybox. We do climb a treehouse and a rudimentary Stonehenge at the end though, so that's kinda nice. Next up is Barnyard where a whole lot happens. So we have this Piggo and it's her birthday, so we help her out with some stuff around the farm. First we gotta get the windmill up and running, then we herd some chicken into the coop, then we drain the silo, and we finally drive a tractor to knock over an outhouse. After that we go to Ice Festival, and as the name suggests, it's mostly snow and ice, but it does have some cool changes other than the color palette. You get to shoot the gun from the carnival levels, but on actual enemies this time. There are moving platforms and even a whole skiing section. Next is Ancient Castle, where I just gotta mention the music, like, listen to this. Amazing. The level itself is also quite amazing, with beautiful environments and lighting everywhere, and a great variety too. As we progress through the level, we go from outside to underground to inside to outside again, all the while swinging on chandeliers, jumping on beds, and even being catapulted onto the castle walls. Then we have our third boss fight, where we gotta knock some stones out of the wall with a catapult and pumpkins before we can take out Cruella. Like the ones before it, not super challenging, but it's something. After she's defeated, we go to Spooky Forest. Easily the worst map in the game. Apart from it just being super confusing, it's also a maze with identical rooms and hallways, shortcuts to most of them but not the one you need to go in order to progress, and of course the most annoying enemies, you know, just for good measure. On the upside it looks great at least. Looks straight out of one of those picture books your parents used to tell bedtime stories from. Something called like The Witch's Hut. Eventually though you can find your way out, but it's frustrating. Next up is Hedge Maze, where ironically I didn't get lost once, and even though this level has a map to help you, I ended up not even checking it. I wish I had a map back in the forest. This level is fine. It has some cool parts, where there's a giant rolling tumbleweed you gotta Indiana Jones yourself away from. Also there are some rooms where you can rotate where the exits are, which I found was pretty neat. Other than that, it's a cool level with nice areas. It even has a Cruella puzzle. After the maze we go to Cruella's mansion, essentially a haunted house with flickering lights and a red and purple color scheme. Now this level doesn't have that many interesting things to be honest, but as a kid the atmosphere alone and the fact that you're in her house was enough to get you excited. There are some cool secrets here, like compartments behind paintings and a hidden room, but compared to other levels we've seen, it's pretty mild. On to our final level now, the Toy Factory, and if the red and blue color scheme and the dark moody lighting wasn't enough, this map has these meat tenderizer squashing presses over conveyor belt thingies, and even the squashy corridors later. At the end we jump over some cogwheels again as we make our way to the final room. And in said room is a final boss fight. A 3-stage showdown with Cruella where we shoot various things around her with a gun until she falls into a pool of green goo. It's definitely the hardest one and by quite a bit, but not to the point where it's a problem, especially for an adult. But wait, there's more! Yes, there are 6 minigames here too. The first one is mini golf and it's pretty okay version of that. We also have Dig Dog, a curiously named memory game where you have to just find pairs, you know how it is. We also have Checkers, which I'm not gonna demonstrate, you know what checkers are. There is Jam Dance, where you trigger some instruments with buttons, but that's it. Then we have Tilt Maze, which I think is really cool even on its own. The physics, graphics and the sound are all pretty convincing. It took me like 6 minutes to complete, and when I finally got it, it was very satisfying. And last but not least, we have my childhood favorite, Ice Race, a racing game as much as Sonic R can be considered one, where you run through an obstacle course against 2 opponents. There are jumps, boosters, hazards to slow you down, and if you win with the Piggo, you get to race as the rat, who can go through shortcuts, though in my opinion they're sometimes slower than just running without mistakes. And if you win with the rat, you get to play as the Snow Bunny, who can jump very high and access areas others cannot. Pretty cool for something just tucked away as a bonus in the menu in an otherwise fully featured game. A couple of things I didn't mention: you can switch between 2 dogs at any time, but it's just a visual thing. There are these sequences where you're chased by humans and you can usually trap them in something, which was super satisfying as a kid. And there's a sticker book that gets more completed the more secrets and collectibles you find. So overall, what do I think of this game 20 years since I last played it? I think it holds up extremely well. I got frustrated way less than I expected. Graphics hold up super well in this charming retro low poly way. Gameplay is actually pretty fun and not overly simple, where I would get bored while playing it. I think it's not just the nostalgia, I think it's a really well made, well thought out game with tons of creativity and fun poured into it, and I highly recommend anyone try it out. But what do you think? Let me know your favorite childhood games in the comments, not just for the engagements, but because I may try those out too. In any case, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it helps a lot, and I see you around next time.